We're at Carz in the Chesney Market. Today we're talking about our oil change service. Not a quick lube, not a 15-minute oil change, but an oil change service that includes a full, thorough courtesy inspection and the value that that brings to you as our customer. So we're going to walk you through what an inspection looks like so you know exactly how it works, and then what an estimate looks like as well, and how our approval process works.
All right, so we're gonna do our demo of what an inspection looks like. I think this is really gonna help you see the value that Carz brings you when we inspect your vehicle for an oil change. So our process takes 45 minutes to an hour. The reason that is our technicians are doing a full detailed video and picture oriented inspection. We call it a digital inspection, okay? So just to touch on the oil change first, we've got two kind of filters. This is a spin-on standard filter, and then we've got our cartridge filter, okay? Now in the cartridge filter, one of the big things that we've seen is some places they just skip on things. They try to save a penny and they lose customers over it. They don't change that cartridge filter. So when that isn't replaced, that cardboard that you're seeing, this is basically cardboard right here, starts to actually disintegrate over time, and those parts that are starting to fall apart go into the engine, and that could cause engine damage and is a major deal. So all right, in that oil change, then we're going to do your courtesy. So let's walk through what this courtesy looks like. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to see exactly what we send to the customer. So you can get a text or an email with this, and when you receive the inspection, you're going to click and you're going to see this inspection results, and you can see the little pie graph. So I can see I got a lot of green, 53%, incomplete, 26%. That just means some things aren't on the vehicle, like if it's not four-wheel drive or things like that, we're not doing that part of the inspection, right? Gray, just not applicable. And then we've got red and yellow, which are our main items, right? So cool thing, I can click right into this and I can see my cabin filter. That's starting to get dirty, pretty dirty. That's going to be a red. I'm going to replace that cabin filter. Engine air filter, starting not bad, just starting to get a little dirty. Probably next oil change, maybe two, depending on my conditions, right? So all my yellows and reds are going to be at the top. Okay, so I'm going to see that. We're taking pictures of your tire. We're checking pressures. We're checking depth of the tire, and we check three spots. So we check here, here, and here, so we can see all of the different tread measurements of the tire, because sometimes you have uneven wear. So if that inside edge is lower than the middle or the outside, if we don't check it, you can need tires and then, oh, it looks good, and then you get a blowout because those tires are getting weak as that tread gets thinner. All of a sudden you get a blowout, and we could have prevented that. That's why we work really hard on that inspection to avoid those things. Okay, struts. Huge part, right? This vehicle's at like 130,000, so struts are recommended. What happens is it starts to nosedive, it starts to wear out your brakes, all that, and we're giving you a description right here of why we recommend it and what it's going to do for you, so that way you understand it. We've also got videos in some of them that you can see, okay? And we've got the start of a small oil leak. Now this is really helpful because this actually is my vehicle, and the next time this was in, this oil leak was really bad. So we can go back to this and see, hey, we had a little oil leak. Now next time it's in, there's a coverage underneath the vehicle and it's dripping. We got to replace that part. So we're not selling you something you don't need now. We're just monitoring it. We're going to clean it off. We're going to say, okay, how much new oil is on that vehicle the next time it comes in? Is it low on oil? And then we can recommend that oil, that leak fix. So that's going to save you budget, but it's also not going to allow it to get bad enough where all of a sudden you're low on oil and you end up damaging your motor or anything. Under here, we're checking fluids, we're looking at levels, we're checking your battery. This is a great thing. I love the battery test because right now it's 100%. We just actually replaced this the visit before this. And when this starts to go down, all of a sudden we start seeing 90, 80. So we can measure that. We can look at the past inspections, and you can do the same thing because those leaks are always good. And now you see that, hey, that battery was 80%. Now it's 60%. It's 40. Oh man, we better get a battery in there. You're going to get left sitting. So we can kind of predict where that battery is in its life and get that replaced before it's an issue, but also get the maximum life out of it, which is important. Brakes, we're checking with millimeters. A lot of places do percentages, and this is where deception in the industry comes in, because you've got a brake pad that we're measuring and you're saying it's 25%. Well, 25% of what? We don't know what the measurement of the starting pad was. So it's really just a guess. And what happens when that guess is inaccurate, that's where deception comes in, and you feel like you're being taken advantage of because you bring it in somewhere else and they say, oh, you don't need brakes, right? And then you think the place is trying to rip you off. that might just be incompetence or the way that they inspect is not accurate, right? So we do measurements. You can see both sets of brakes are green. These are at 8 millimeter. You know, we're going to measure that. If it's red, it's 2, 3, 4 millimeters, then you need them now. And that way we aren't selling those brakes early, but we're recommending it. By the time it's yellow, we're giving you a budget already. So that way you've got that. Again, front shocks, you can see educational video here. So you can click into that. You can learn about what those components do. Checking differentials, there's that fluid leak we already looked at, and then we're checking your exhaust. So we're doing a really thorough, complete vehicle inspection within this process. So hopefully that process of walking through an inspection helps you to understand, first of all, why a 45-minute to an hour appointment is actually a good thing for you as our customer, why it's important. The thoroughness of what we're doing is a asset to you as a customer, because A, we're not charging you for it. B, it's what allows us to be extremely preventative in nature. A, we can avoid bigger stuff from happening. B, we can walk through and say, hey, here's upcoming stuff, so you have a more predictable budget, which is a lot less stress in this industry. We know when you walk in and then there's stuff wrong, it's already stressful because it's hard to budget for. But if you can predict some of that budget, the maintenance and the wearable things that are predictable, like batteries, tires, brakes, things like that, it's going to make your life a lot easier. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be doing a lot more videos like this. Hopefully this helps you to see what our process is. We're going to do next one is a cradle to grave, what that customer experience is like from the moment you walk in and you get the estimate sent to you for things that were already recommended last time, through the inspection process, the approval, and then being able to pay online through a text message. It's really smooth. We're also going to show you what setting up an appointment looks like too. So stay tuned, and thanks for checking us out here at Carz West McChesney Park.